Welcome to the deep dive. You look at the stack of sources we've got customized for you today, and honestly, it's kind of staggering.
Oh, absolutely. The sheer variety here is wild.
Right. I mean, we're looking at everything from the history of AI on Wikipedia and these really dense technical guides from CTO magazine to deep dives on how Netflix's algorithms actually work.
Yeah, and the mechanics of Siri, too.
Exactly. Plus some super secret Google Labs tools. So the mission today for you listening is to just cut through all the massive hype, cut through the fear and the sci-fi stuff.
Because it is everywhere right now.
It really is. We want to give you a clear, grounded understanding of what AI actually is, how it works in the tools you use every single day, and how you can practically use it right now without feeling totally overwhelmed.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Okay, let's unpack this because
Yeah.
we need to set the record straight right up front.
Well, the foundational premise we really need to establish is that AI, it just isn't magic. And it's definitely not some malevolent sci-fi villain either. It is, at its core, essentially just highly advanced mathematics. It's statistical pattern recognition.
So to really understand how to use AI, we kind of have to understand what it isn't first.
Exactly.
We have to move past this whole idea of AI as magic and look at the reality of what's happening under the hood when we, talk to a chatbot.
And to do that, I'm going to introduce a concept called the stochastic parrot.
The stochastic parrot. Okay.
Yeah, so large language models, or LLMs like ChatGPT, they use statistics to convincingly generate human-like text.
Right.
They do this just by predicting word sequences. But the key here is they lack true semantic understanding. They are essentially probabilistic text generators.
So they don't actually know what they're saying.
Not at all. There's this great example in the source, the Polly example.
Oh, right. Yeah, I read that.
Yeah, so imagine an AI named Polly. Polly might see the phrase, "Paris is the capital of France," enough times in its training data to just repeat it perfectly.
Sure, because it's seen it a million times.
Right. But without contextual diversity, Polly can't logically deduce that France is the country where Paris is the capital.
Wow.
It's basically generating a probabilistic word salad. It's matching patterns. And, the piece from CTO magazine makes a huge point to dispel the myth that AI functions like the human brain. It doesn't. And it certainly doesn't have feelings.
Okay, so if I'm hearing you right, when an AI writes this brilliant, glowing essay, it's not actually thinking about the topic at all.
Not in the way we think of thinking, no.
It's literally just acting like the world's most sophisticated smartphone autocomplete.
That is precisely what it's doing. It is calculating the most mathematically probable next word based on billions of data points.
Which, honestly, for you listening, this is exactly why you shouldn't panic about AI taking over the world.
Exactly.
It's just a tool. It's entirely under human control, and it fundamentally requires clean data from us to even function. It's not a sentient being.
Right. It's not waking up tomorrow and deciding it hates us.
But, okay, if AI is just a statistical parrot, why does it feel like it suddenly took over the world overnight? I mean, ChatGPT dropped and everything changed.
Well, it feels overnight. But this overnight success actually took over 70 years of booms and busts.
70 years?
Yeah, we have to trace this timeline back to the 1956 Dartmouth workshop.
Right, where the term was actually coined.
Exactly. The term artificial intelligence was coined there, and they debuted this thing called the logic theorist.
Oh, yeah.
And back then, the whole approach was symbolic reasoning, which dominated early AI for decades.
Which was basically trying to teach a computer human logic, right?
Yes. They gave it rigid rules, but they hit a wall, which is known as Moravec's paradox.
I found this part of the sources fascinating.
It's wild. Early researchers found it was actually super easy to get computers to prove geometry theorems or play checkers at a master level.
Because those are just fixed rules.
Right.
Right.
But they utterly failed at getting them to do basic things, like recognize a face or cross a room without bumping into a table.
The easy stuff for humans was impossible for machines.
Exactly. And because researchers had overpromised and underdelivered so badly, we got these massive crashes in funding.
The AI winters.
Yes, the AI winters of the 1970s and the 1990s. The whole industry basically went into hibernation.
So it sounds like we kept trying to build this top-down brain with strict rules, but modern deep learning, what we have now, it's more like training a puppy, right? Like with rewards and penalties. Is that why reinforcement learning finally cracked the code?
If we connect this to the bigger picture,
Yeah.
yeah, that puppy analogy is pretty spot on. We stopped giving it rules and started giving it feedback. We
Right.
let the neural networks adjust their own mathematical weights based on trial and error.
Okay, but while researchers were battling through all those KI winters, AI was kind of quietly slipping into our everyday lives anyway.
Oh, absolutely. It was
Yeah.
completely transforming how we consume media and use our phones.
Yeah, let's talk about the everyday stuff, Netflix and Siri, because your sources on this were mind-blowing.
Yeah, so looking at how machine learning and natural language processing, or NLP, function in the real world, Netflix is a perfect example.
The recommendation algorithm.
Right. So Netflix uses a technique to jumpstart recommendations when you first sign up. They ask you what you like.
Right, you click on 3 movies you like.
Exactly. But eventually, it lets your actual viewing behavior completely supersede those initial preferences.
It ignores what you said you like.
Totally. Crucially, the engineering docs show that Netflix uses the time of day you watch, your viewing history, what devices you use, but it explicitly does not use demographic info.
Wait, really?
Oh.
So Netflix doesn't care if I'm a 20-year-old guy or a 60-year-old woman.
It doesn't care at all.
It just cares that I watched like 3 rom-coms at 2 a.m. on an iPad.
Exactly. Behavior is what matters. Behavioral data totally trumps assumptions about your age or gender.
That is wild. And what about Siri? Because that's another one we use all the time.
So Siri is interesting. It translates your voice to text on the phone. But the actual thinking, the NLP part, that requires sending the data back to Apple's massive servers.
Because the phone itself isn't powerful enough.
Right. A phone just doesn't have the processing power to parse the semantic intent. And even with all those servers, Siri still really struggles to detect sarcasm or humor.
Because it's a stochastic parrot. It's math that doesn't get a joke.
Exactly. It just matches patterns.
But okay, this brings up a huge pivot. If AI is so incredibly good at predicting what movie we want to watch or turning our voice into text, why do businesses struggle so much to implement it? Because the consumer tech is basically flawless, but the messy reality of enterprise AI is a whole different story.
It really is. The data from the Credit and Financial Management Review is just shocking here.
Yeah, hit us with that number.
An astonishing 95% of AI pilot projects fail to produce any return.
95%.
Yeah, and the reason is that businesses mistakenly treat AI as just a general software tool, like a silver bullet they can just install.
Right, like downloading Microsoft Word.
Exactly, rather than actually integrating it properly into their specific workflows.
But when they do integrate it properly, the sources say it works wonders.
Oh, it does. For example, they showed that neural networks can predict future delinquency in B2B transactions with 30% higher accuracy than traditional models.
Like Altman's Z-score.
Right, the classic Altman Z-score.
But then, and this is the crazy part, the sources introduced this black box problem.
Yes, this is a massive issue.
Explain the black box to us.
So, deep learning models are so mathematically complex with millions of parameters that even their own creators can't always explain how they arrived at a specific decision.
The engineers themselves don't know.
They literally can't trace the math. And this creates huge ethical and compliance risks,
Oh, for sure.
especially with things like GDPR in Europe and CCPA in California. You are legally required to be able to explain why a decision was made. Hence the push for explainable AI or XAI.
So wait, using an unexplainable AI for loan approvals is basically like having a human loan officer who rejects a client, but when you ask why, they just say, I don't know, I just got a bad vibe.
That's a great way to put it.
You literally can't do that in business. You'd be sued instantly.
This raises an important question, though. How do we actually use this technology safely if it's prone to hallucinating and acting as a black box?
Right, because enterprise AI is clearly fraught with all these ethical issues. And the stochastic parrots can hallucinate totally fake legal cases. It sounds bad.
It does sound bad.
But there are incredible, highly focused AI tools available right now that avoid almost all these pitfalls.
Yes, there are.
Tools that you listening probably haven't even heard of yet. Here's where it gets really interesting. Let's talk about Google Labs.
Yeah, the hidden tools within Google Labs are fascinating.
Yeah.
Because these tools are highly focused experiments, rather than just try to do everything generalized chatbots, they're incredibly effective.
They're specialized.
Exactly. The big one is Notebook LM.
Oh, I love Notebook LM.
Right. It started as Project Tailwind. And the genius of it is that it grounds its answers only in the specific documents you upload.
It can't search the open web.
No. Which virtually prevents hallucinations. It can't just make things up.
And it has those audio overviews, right? Where it creates podcast-style conversations out of your notes.
It's amazing. Then there's another one called Learn Your Way.
Yes, this one blew my mind.
It takes static PDFs and tailors them to a user's reading level and their specific interests. So you could be trying to learn data structures, and it will rewrite the textbook using basketball examples just for you.
That is just brilliant.
And there are a few other quick mentions in the lab section too, like little language lessons, things like slang hang and WordCam.
For learning languages naturally.
Exactly. And a developer tool called Stitch.
Right, for what they called vibe design in UI. You just tell it the vibe you want for user interface, and it codes it.
Yeah.
So basically, instead of asking ChatGPT a broad question and just crossing your fingers and hoping it doesn't parrot back some nonsense it read on Reddit,
Right.
tools like Notebook LM force the AI to only read from a closed book that I provide.
That is exactly how you harness AI safely right now.
Hmm.
You give it boundaries.
That makes so much sense. So for you listening, let's just summarize this whole journey we've been on.
It's been a lot of ground to cover.
It really has. We went from understanding that AI isn't a sentient brain. It's
Right.
just a statistical parrot playing probabilities.
Right.
We tracked its turbulent 70-year history through the winters. We saw how the algorithms powering your Netflix queue don't care about your demographics, just your behavior.
Which is still surprising.
Truly.
Right.
And finally, we looked at the secret Google tools you can use right now to become a super learner today without worrying about the whole black box problem.
But, before we wrap up, there's one final lingering thought from the history sources that I think we have to talk about.
Oh, hit me.
So going back to Alan Turing's famous 1950 test.
The Turing test.
Right. He said that if a machine can converse indistinguishably from a human, it can be said to be thinking. But today, we know for a fact that our LLMs are just stochastic parrots. They're just matching statistical patterns. They aren't thinking at all.
They don't understand the words.
Exactly. So does this mean the Turing test was fundamentally flawed from the very beginning?
That's a really good point.
Or, and this is the more uncomfortable thought, does it mean that a lot of human conversation is just statistical pattern matching too?
Oh, wow.
Are we just repeating what we've heard without deeply processing it?
So we might just be biological stochastic parrots. That is, wow. That is definitely something for you to chew on long after this deep dive ends. We'll leave you with that one. Thanks for joining us.